This is Mood Mark II. If you play the original Mood, Mark II picks up right where it left off. If not, welcome. Mood is designed for playful exploration, improvisation, and discovery. Mood is all about finding new sounds. So before we do anything useful, I'm just going to wildly turn some knobs for a moment and we'll see what happens. That is Mood. In the simplest terms, Mood is a two-channel multi-effect. One half samples and loops brief moments. That's the micro looper. The other half is a collection of real-time spatial effects called the wet channel. The channels are aware of each other and work together. You can process micro loops with the wet channel or record the wet channel into the micro looper. The possibilities are pretty much endless. Before we dive in, a quick word on how Mood handles various input and output routing. In a nutshell, Mood can be used with mono or stereo sources and is set up to work with either right out of the box. If you're working in stereo, you'll want to use a TRS cable for both input and output. If you'd like Mood to take a mono signal and output it in stereo, use a TS cable for the input, a TRS cable for the output, and then activate the MISO dip switch. Okay, first things first, let's take a look at Mood's controls. You can divide Mood up into thirds: the wet channel, the micro looper channel, and shared controls. We'll start with shared controls. Mix sets the balance between your input signal and Mood and controls both channels simultaneously. The clock sets Mood's sample rate. This controls the length and resolution of the micro looper channel, as well as the quality and time of the wet channel. It's one of the most powerful and satisfying knobs you can twist. As we explore each of Mood's channels, we'll also listen to how the clock affects the kinds of textures that Mood can produce. The routing switch determines which signals get processed by the wet channel: your input, the micro looper channel, or both. It only has an effect if both channels are active. The presets toggle switch allows you to save and recall presets. The left and right positions each store a preset, while the middle position is live, your current settings. To save to the right slot, hold the right foot switch for 3 seconds, then add the left foot switch for another 3 seconds. Do the same for the left slot, but start by holding down the left foot switch. The middle LED will blink to indicate success. The wet channel consists of 3 different spatial effects. We're going to engage the spread dip switch so that the following sounds are in glorious stereo for our friends wearing headphones, but they also sound great in mono. Let's start with reverb. Time affects the decay and size of the reverb. Short times are counterclockwise, and longer times are clockwise. Modify affects the amount of smearing on the taps. Traditional reverb sounds are on the clockwise side of the throw, and as the knob is turned counterclockwise, the taps become more and more distinguishable, like a multi-tap delay. Now is a good time to mention that the wet channel can be frozen by holding the left foot switch, causing the current sound to repeat infinitely. Each mode reacts differently, and you can move around the knobs and manipulate the sound while frozen. Mood's reverb can cover a lot of ground, so spend some time experimenting with different combinations of time and modify. And don't forget about the clock either. Okay, on to delay. This is Mood's simplest mode, but it has some unexpected abilities and uses when combined with the micro looper. Here, time adjusts the overall delay time. Mood's delay is designed so that changes to the delay knob do not introduce pitch shifting. This can be a fun knob to manipulate as you play. Modify adds feedback. Counterclockwise, you'll only get one repeat, or technically one per side if spread is engaged. Once the knob is fully clockwise, the delay will pile up forever, like a looper. Try adjusting the time knob with mix and modify turned up to introduce a kind of manual time stretching. It bears repeating. Slowing down the clock can take you to some wonderfully crunchy places. Let's check out Slip. Slip is an oddity. It samples your input continuously and spits it back out at a speed and direction of your choosing, generating whimsical harmonies and pitch shifting. Time sets the sampling size. Lower settings will produce more instant results and function like a pitch shifter, while higher settings will create harmonized phrases that follow behind you. Modify sets the speed and direction of playback. It moves in semitone steps. One great use of slip mode is to create a real-time reverse effect. On Mood's right-hand side, you'll find the micro looper channel. It works a little bit differently than traditional loopers in that it's always listening and recording while it's bypassed. When you engage the channel, you get to hear what's currently in the buffer. The micro looper is all about turning it on and seeing what you get. It's kind of like fishing for music. The length of the loop is determined by the clock position. The LED will blink at the beginning of each loop cycle. If the wet channel is on while the microlooper is bypassed and therefore recording, its effects will be recorded into your microloops. Once you've snagged a loop, you can start to pile sounds on by overdubbing. This is done by holding down the microlooper foot switch. If the latch dip switch is engaged, as it is here, overdub will stay active until you long press to deactivate. The microlooper's different modes give us 3 unique ways to explore the loop captured in the buffer. Let's start with tape, which is the most straightforward. In tape mode, length controls the amount of the loop that plays back. The slice will get shorter and shorter as the knob is turned counterclockwise. Modify controls the speed, direction, and pitch of the playback. This is quantized to octaves, half speed, normal speed, 2x, and 4x. Try combining slower clock speeds with faster playback speeds to introduce interesting grit and vibe. Stretch mode lets you zoom in and explore the details of your loop, spreading short phrases into sprawling epics. It does this by chopping your loop up into slices and moving through them at a speed of your choosing. Length sets the size of the slices. Higher settings will have more clarity and feature repeating phrases, while lower settings will be more blurry and grainy. Counterclockwise of noon is where you will find classic time-stretching sounds. Modify sets the playback direction as well as the amount of stretching. The closer you get to noon, the slower you'll progress. Forward playback is achieved clockwise of noon, and reverse is counterclockwise. We can explore a single moment infinitely by setting Modify to noon. Turning up length will adjust the size of the moment we're repeating. A few layers of overdubbing and stretch mode can turn just about anything into an infinitely interesting texture. ENV, which is short for envelope, allows you to interrupt the loop with your playing to create dynamic stutters and frozen notes. It chops your loop into slices, and whenever sound is detected at the input, it will repeat the current slice until the sound disappears. Length sets the size of the slices. Lower settings will zoom in on microscopic grains, while higher settings will repeat short phrases. Modify sets the sensitivity of the audio detector. The further counterclockwise the knob is, the less sensitive. Now that we've covered both sides of Mood, let's take a quick break, deep breath, and in part 2, we'll cover customization and hidden options. See you then.